Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 20th meeting of the Hyde Park Planning Board. Please take note of all the exits around the room and now join us as we repledge our fealty to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The only item on our agenda is the enclave at Hyde Park. As a reminder, the applicants are seeking to re-subdivide a former 74 single-family lot subdivision. They are required to get site plan and special use permit because they are now constructing multi-family housing. There will be 50 two-family homes on 25 lots. Making a motion to reopen the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Victoria.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Would anyone from the public like to speak about this application? There being none, any final comments from the consultants? Mr. Sotero?
We're having a conference here.
Pete had asked about the road bond approval. And so I was just explaining that in this case, because there's an existing money with the towns to put towards the road, instead of requiring a separate performance guarantee in addition to that money, the applicant is going to be required to work out an agreement with the town of Hyde Park to provide for the disbursement of the funds. And it states that the agreement shall provide for a minimum retained security in an amount recommended by the planning board and town engineer and acceptable to town board and attorney to the town to guarantee completion of road. So the applicant was unable to finalize the bond estimates for tonight's meeting. And so they're going to have to come back and present them to the board for the board's approval and recommendation at a future date.
This was agreed upon with the applicant. It was actually their preference, I want to note.
This board and the town.
And because we do have some newer people here, and we haven't done subdivisions in a long time, because this is a re-subdivision, the code requires that the applicants put forth some kind of security or surety to ensure that all infrastructure is actually completed. In this case, because this is a prior subdivision and a cash performance amount was put up, we lowered it at one point based on Mr. Sotero's recommendation. The board is allowed to lower what's left up based on work performed only once. At some point, a prior town board, I believe under Supervisor Martino, apparently called the bond. When you call the bond, or call the cash in this case, it must be used for the infrastructure. So this is not something that will be the planning board's purview. It's really the town board now and the applicant and his consultants as to how they formalize that process of turning it back over so it can be applied toward all the infrastructure. But the planning board is required to recommend to the town board what the performance amount is. And there was a little bit of still discussion between the applicant's consultants and Mr. Sotero over various prices, like for the sidewalk, tree installation, etc. So that's what this is about. So what we've done is taken Attorney Raplansky's language that he preferred to put on here, so that the applicant can deal with the town board on the performance guarantee they called. In the meantime, they'll just be coming back up to us at some point to make a recommendation by resolution to the town board for the bond. Any questions? I know that was complicated. Okay, would anyone from the public like to speak about this application? There being none and no consultants, I've asked twice. Any comments from the board? No. Questions? So before I close the public hearing, has everyone had a chance to read the resolutions?
Yes.
They're lengthy, and so what I'd like to do is stipulate that we've all read them so that we don't have to go through this many pages. There are some changes that have been made since you last saw them. It's fairly minor, but that's what we were discussing at the beginning of the meeting. There were some notes that we were going to have put on the site plan, the site plan, that deal with the maintenance of the area around the cistern and the approach, as well as maintenance of the gates. Mr. Casamento suggested that we move that over to the subdivision plat, so the notes are added on the subdivision. And to remind the board as well, the way this will work in terms of them satisfying all the conditions, they first must file the plat, the actual subdivision, because that will reassign new tax grid numbers, et cetera, toward all these new parcels that are owned by waterworks, sewer, individuals, HOA. Once that's done, then they can provide the correct information with all those numbers for the site plan, and that'll be filed. The two are linked forever, but there will be a little bit of a timing difference at the beginning. So, and before I go on, I want to thank you Mr. Alexander's substitute tonight, as well as your client for all the heavy lifting that's been done and down to tiny details on this. I know I spent the last 48 hours, as did Victoria and Pete, looking at this to make sure. I know you did too, because I've seen all the emails flying back and forth. But this is what happens when you have a good project and there's a lot of willingness to work on both sides to come up with the final end product. So if there are no more comments, make it a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So Victoria, the first resolution I would be reading would be the resolution to grant conditional final plat approval.
Correct.
And if we stipulate that everyone's read this, so it has to be read into the record, I believe that the only change would be an addition, which would be the...
It's an addition of a note 21 to state revision of sheet SP3 to include the following notes. A, all emergency access gates shall be maintained by the property owner or ownership association in good working condition. And B, the 10,000-gallon cistern shall be completed prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any residential dwelling, excluding Phase 1A, the model home, or the membership club. And these are in response to the fire department's comments.
Thank you. So with that, do I just seek a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
As amended.
As amended?
As amended. So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Chan, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And then the second resolution, which would be Resolution 16-49C, by the way, that was Resolution 16-49C. The second is 16-49D. In this one, where condition 23 exists now, that will be removed. Conditions A and B of 23 were actually, they're contained within 24, which means that the details will be changed to show what was requested in A and B. So number 24 becomes number 23. Otherwise, it's the same as what you read. So making a motion to adopt that resolution as amended as well.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That's it.
Thank you.
Doesn't that seem a bit anticlimactic after all this?
It's like the sparkle.
Yeah.
See you in 2
Need
weeks.
one of those little cannons go tickle.
So we look forward to seeing this start. For the board, we met really long, another one of those really long meetings with legal staff, as well as Don Westermeyer, our building inspector. One of the things, as you've read, the way the conditions are worded, the applicant would like to be able to, as soon as possible, once it meets the conditions of the separate once they do the subdivision, they'll have a separate site plan in there for me to sign. That would be just for the model home. The model home, because of the time of the year we are now in September, would not, when it's constructed, likely have water and sewer.
Correct.
And I also need to compliment Mr. Westermeyer for his forbearance in working out a path so that could happen, because normally the building inspector wouldn't give a building permit for a house unless there was running water and sewer there. So as you all know, we conditioned it such that they will have to connect it at some point.
Correct.
But the good news is that we're hoping, I should say good, the best news would be that the model home would be used and be the last one sold. We keep used over and over again until all the sales are made. So at any rate, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing you again. I believe you started on another project that will soon be before us. Off Kip Road. Off Kip Road, you started looking at the materials, I
Yes.
hope? Yes, okay, so
They'll be back. It will be back for that.
there's only one project on Kip Road. Has everyone forgotten the name of it?
Where's Kip?
Isn't it Kip Road? It's also a Rhinebeck mailing address, some apartments that we're going to have some houses.
Oh, right.
Yes,
So we've got an appointment with the DEC to start looking through their files to keep that moving forward.
it's called
Wow.
So we've
Coveview
been
now.
Yes.
don't you remember?
I forgot
continue that.
the road name.
Oh, sorry, so Coveview, I believe you said you started to work on the materials.
Primrose. That's Primrose.
Is that, I'm sorry, Primrose. Kip Road goes off of that, sorry,
How
right.
could we forget that, John?
Right.
Yeah.
So today, we look forward to seeing you again shortly. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
Any other business? Let me just also say Lashana Tova. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Happy New Year to those who are celebrating, and make it a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, media committee, or media
I
group.
told my wife I wasn't going for running.
Go get a beer.